Have you ever felt like you weren't a priority in someone's life? Have you ever given your best, delivered exceptional work, offered valuable insights, or made sacrifices for others, only to be ignored, overlooked, or taken for granted? It's frustrating, isn't it? You put in the effort, you show up, you invest yourself emotionally, but the recognition never comes. Even worse, the people you care about seem to treat you as an afterthought, always putting others before you, never truly seeing your worth. This can be one of the most painful realities to accept, especially when it happens with family, close friends, or a romantic partner. But why does this happen? Why do some people naturally command respect, admiration, and priority in others' lives while others struggle to get even the bare minimum of recognition? The answer lies in perception, psychology, and human nature. People tend to value what they have to work for, what isn't easily available, and what they feel they could lose. If you are always there, always giving, always adapting to others, you unknowingly train people to take you for granted. But what if you could shift this dynamic? What if there were specific strategies that could naturally make others see you as a priority, without begging for attention, without manipulation, and without changing who you are? The truth is, there are principles that men who are naturally prioritized follow, often without even realizing it. They don't chase validation. They don't seek approval. Instead, they move through life in a way that commands respect and demands recognition without ever having to ask for it. And today, you are going to learn exactly how to do the same. In this video, we're going to reveal 9 powerful steps that will ensure people see you as a priority in their lives. These principles are based on human psychology, Stoic philosophy, and real-world social dynamics. By the end of this video, you will understand how to shift your mindset, adjust your behavior, and start receiving the recognition and respect you truly deserve. No more feeling like an afterthought. No more being ignored. No more waiting for others to validate your worth. If you apply these steps correctly, the way people treat you will change permanently. If you're ready to claim your rightful place as a priority in the lives of those around you, drop a comment below saying, "I choose to be valued." And make sure you watch this video until the very end, because there's a final secret that ties everything together, a principle that will make every other step even more powerful. Now, let's begin. The truth about becoming a priority in someone's life is that it never happens by chance. Some people are seen as indispensable, while others are easily overlooked. This has nothing to do with luck or natural charisma, but rather with behaviors and perceptions that dictate how others treat us. If you've ever felt like you were an afterthought, like people only reached out when they needed something, or like you were always the one making the effort in relationships, it's time to change that dynamic completely. You don't need to beg for attention. You don't need to prove your worth. You need to start acting in a way that naturally commands respect and value. The following 9 steps will shift the way people perceive you, making you an undeniable priority in their lives. The first step is creating the fear of losing you. This is one of the most powerful psychological techniques to make someone value you. People are far more motivated by the fear of loss than by the possibility of gain. If someone assumes you will always be available, they subconsciously place you lower on their list of priorities. But if they sense even slightly that they could lose you, their entire perception of you shifts. To implement this, start pulling back emotionally. Stop being overly accessible. Stop sharing every detail of your life. And stop making them feel like they have guaranteed access to you at all times. Balance your time by investing in other relationships, hobbies, and personal growth. However, this must be done strategically. If you pull away too much or too suddenly, they may feel abandoned and walk away completely. The key is to create just enough distance for them to notice and feel your absence. The second step is avoiding being too available. The more available you are, the more likely you are to be taken for granted. Human nature values scarcity. When something is always within reach, its perceived value decreases. This doesn't mean playing childish games, but it does mean prioritizing yourself and not always adjusting your schedule to fit others. If someone only reaches out when it's convenient for them, don't always be there waiting. When you send the message that your time is valuable and that your presence is not guaranteed, people naturally start to appreciate you more. The third step is maintaining an element of mystery. People are drawn to what they cannot fully understand. If you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, you remove the intrigue that makes you compelling. This doesn't mean being deceptive, but it does mean pacing how much you share. Instead of immediately disclosing every detail about your life, offer glimpses. Let them ask questions. Keep them curious. When someone feels like there's always something more to learn about you, they become more invested. The unknown creates attraction and keeps people engaged in the relationship. The fourth step is allowing others to invest in you. People value what they invest time, effort, and energy into. If someone gives to you, whether it's their time, emotional energy, or resources, they will naturally start to see you as a priority. This is why relationships where one person does all the giving while the other does all the taking often fail. The person receiving everything puts little value on the giver. But if you create situations where they need to invest in you, they will subconsciously feel a stronger connection to you. Let people do things for you. Let them help, support, and contribute. If you always try to do everything yourself, never accepting help or effort from others, you miss out on a critical element of building strong social bonds. The fifth step is prioritizing your own needs. Many people lose their value in others' eyes because they put themselves last. If you don't treat yourself as a priority, how can you expect others to do the same? This means setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and ensuring that your time and energy are spent on things that serve your goals and well-being. People respect those who respect themselves. If you constantly sacrifice your needs for others, they will start to expect it from you, and over time they will take your kindness for granted. The sixth step is not making someone else the center of your life. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships, romantic, professional, or social, is placing too much focus on one person. The more you revolve your world around someone, the more they feel they have complete control over your presence. When people feel they have you no matter what, they stop making an effort. But if they see that you have a life beyond them, that you have passions, friends, and ambitions that don't rely on their validation, they start to value your presence more. Independence is attractive. It signals strength, confidence, and emotional security. Never let your self-worth be tied to one person's attention. The seventh step is stopping the habit of always initiating communication. If you are always the one reaching out first, always checking in, always making plans, you are sending the message that the relationship depends entirely on your effort. Take a step back and observe. If you stop initiating, will they reach out? If they don't, it's a clear sign of how little they prioritize you. And if they do, it means they feel your absence and are willing to put in effort to maintain the connection. Many people fear that if they stop making the first move, they will lose the relationship. But in reality, what you are losing is an unbalanced dynamic where only you are doing the work. The eighth step is creating your own happiness. Nothing is more magnetic than a person who is fulfilled on their own. If you depend on others for your happiness, you give them control over your emotional state. This is why people who always seek validation seem needy and unattractive. When you take full responsibility for your happiness, when you cultivate your own passions, when you find joy outside of external validation, you become someone others naturally gravitate toward. People are drawn to those who radiate confidence, security, and self-sufficiency. Make sure that your emotional well-being isn't tied to how others treat you. The ninth and final step is being willing to walk away. This is the most powerful step of all. When you show that you are not afraid to walk away from situations where you are not valued, you send the strongest possible message about your self-worth. Most people tolerate being undervalued because they fear losing a connection. But in doing so, they reinforce the idea that they will accept being a low priority. When you set a standard that you only stay where you are appreciated, people take notice. The right ones will make sure to keep you in their lives. The wrong ones will fade away, and that is a good thing. Never stay where you are not valued. Now that you understand these 9 steps, you have the tools to shift the way people see you. When you implement these principles, you will notice a dramatic change in how others treat you. You will no longer feel like an afterthought. You will no longer be ignored. You will no longer seek validation, because you will be the one setting the terms of how people interact with you. These principles are not about manipulation or games. They are about positioning yourself as someone who naturally commands respect. They are about making sure that the people in your life see your worth without you having to prove it constantly. When you start applying these steps, you will notice that the dynamics around you change. People will reach out to you more. They will respect your time. They will make an effort to keep you in their lives. And most importantly, you will finally feel like a priority, not because you demanded it, but because you have become the kind of person who deserves it. Now that you understand the 9 steps to becoming a priority in someone's life, it's time to shift your mindset permanently. Most people go through life wondering why they are not treated the way they deserve, blaming others for not recognizing their worth. But the truth is, being valued is not something you ask for. It's something you position yourself to receive naturally. You now realize that being taken for granted happens when you are too available, too accommodating, or too predictable. You see that people value what they work for, what they fear losing, and what they perceive as high value. And most importantly, you understand that if you don't prioritize yourself, no one else will. This is the core difference between those who are always respected and those who are overlooked. The ones who are respected do not demand attention. They command it. They do not chase recognition, they attract it. They do not beg to be noticed, they create an undeniable presence that people naturally gravitate toward. And how do they do this? By internalizing the truth that their worth is not determined by anyone else. They know that rejection, neglect, or being an afterthought only happens when you allow yourself to be treated that way. The moment you decide that you are a high-value person, the world starts to reflect that belief back to you. Think about how you have approached your relationships up until now. Have you been the one always making the effort, always initiating, always proving yourself? Have you allowed others to dictate your value, waiting for them to validate you instead of recognizing your worth from within? If so, this is the moment to change. The only way to be respected, prioritized, and valued is to live in a way that makes people realize they cannot afford to lose you. This is why detachment is such a powerful tool. The moment you stop attaching your happiness to how others treat you, everything shifts. When people sense that their validation no longer controls you, they start valuing your presence more. When they realize you're willing to walk away rather than accept less than you deserve, they change the way they treat you. This is not manipulation. It is simply human nature. People want what they cannot have. They respect what they fear losing. They prioritize what is not easily replaceable. Most people live in a state of neediness, constantly trying to prove their worth to others, constantly seeking approval. But what happens when you stop needing validation? What happens when you become someone who is completely content within yourself? You become magnetic. You stop worrying about whether others recognize your value because you already know it. And, ironically, that is exactly when people start treating you as a priority. The most powerful realization you can have is that you are the one who sets the standard for how others treat you. If you tolerate being overlooked, ignored, or taken for granted, you are teaching people that it is acceptable to treat you that way. But when you start living by the principles of self-respect, confidence, and detachment, you send a completely different message. You show that your presence is a privilege, not a given. You show that your time is valuable, not something to be taken lightly. And you show that you are not just an option, you are a priority. Now, ask yourself this: what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to continue waiting for others to see your worth, hoping that one day they will appreciate you? Or do you want to take full control, step into your power, and live in a way that commands respect and recognition? The choice is yours. You can remain in the cycle of chasing validation, or you can break free from it forever. From this moment forward, you are no longer someone who accepts being an afterthought. You are no longer someone who waits for others to decide your worth. You are someone who moves through life with purpose, confidence, and an unshakable understanding of your value. The people who deserve to be in your life will recognize that, and the ones who don't, They were never meant to stay in the first place. If this message resonated with you, comment below and say, "I choose to be a priority." Let this be the moment you reclaim your worth and set a new standard for how you are treated. And if you want more content that will transform the way you think and elevate your life, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now, because this is just the beginning. The world belongs to those who know their value and refuse to settle for anything less. And starting today, that includes you.